Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 4 of season 2 of the F1 2020 McLaren RTG career mode, where today we're here back for the Chinese Grand Prix. Now obviously if you missed out the last race out from Vietnam, I would definitely recommend going back and checking it out. Obviously there will be spoilers in just a moment, but obviously China as well holds a special place in our hearts in the McLaren RTG career mode. Obviously it was where Lando Norris took his first ever race victory last season around this circuit, so hopefully today we can have a similar sort of luck. Obviously we'll wait and see as to how things go, but obviously if you are new around here as well, make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. Obviously in the first 3 races things have been spicy. We lead the way by 8 points over Valtteri Bottas, and then a further 20 point gap now over Lando Norris there, as Hamilton finally seems to be coming back on form in 4th place there. In terms of the championship though, 3 different winners in the first 3 races there. You can see Lando's unfortunate DNF last time really did cost him after a 2nd and a 1st in the opening couple of Grand Prix there. He did still sneak fastest lap away though at the end of the Vietnamese Grand Prix there, so that was 1 less point for Bottas or myself to score. But yeah, 8 points though as we head into the Chinese Grand Prix this weekend. Will we get our 4th different winner? It very much seems like McLaren versus Mercedes in the early stages of this season, but a long old way to go. Let's dive into this. So here we are then, qualifying for round 4 of the season here from Shanghai. Once again, obviously this car is pretty strong in most departments, so hopefully we can have a good qualifying session here today at the Chinese Grand Prix circuit. Obviously when you try and get a lap booked up, the AI tend to be fairly quick around this place as well, but we've gone for not a low aero setup by any stretch, but certainly a little bit less wing than a lot of the rest of the field seem to be running as we head through the first couple of corners. All nice and tidy so far. At the start, we're still yet to get a pole position in this McLaren, so maybe, just maybe, today could finally be that day as we head down in towards the hairpin. Just about to get the car slowed down tidily, try and get good traction on the exit at Lando as well. Looking rather quick as we head up the hill through the S's. 7th gear there, a bit of a blend, don't quite want to take it flat out as we've got a lot of the top end speed, losing a little bit of ground there through the next couple of quarters as we just try and swing the car from side to side. You can see out there, Lando getting tremendous traction, nowhere able to carry the same sort of momentum as a lot of the AI done through there. So as we head down in towards the end of Sector 2 through the next snail section, this does seem to be a place where we can gain a little bit of time over the AI generally on F1 2020. We can see at the moment though, Lando's still at the front, and actually the top end speed not as brilliant as I thought it would be. Up into P2 once again, so clearly Mercs, I'm guessing they were the cars between us, don't quite have the same sort of top end this weekend. Slam on the anchors, just don't get it slowed down in time. Get a fairly decent run out of the penultimate corner there. 1 more corner to go, try and keep it tidy. Way too much curb on the way in, but down towards the line. Lando's going to get pole, and is P2 for ourselves at the end of the Chinese Grand Prix qualifying session there. I'll be honest, a little bit gutted that we couldn't get it on pole, but the pace once again from the car seems quick.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top 3. Norris, Mr. Monaco, and Valtteri Bottas. With qualifying wrapped up, we now have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
So there we go then, qualifying done for the Chinese Grand Prix there, and both McLarens, then both Mercedes on the front 2 rows there. 0.004 of a second between Bottas and Hamilton there at the end of qualifying. Max Verstappen 5th ahead of Perez, Ricciardo, Stroll, Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel rounding out the top 10 there, with Alex Albon all the way down in P13 there, only ahead of the AlphaTauri, Gasly, and then of course the Haas, Alphas and Williams rounding out the order there. But an interesting qualifying session. Hopefully we'll be able to carry over some good pace into the Chinese Grand Prix.
It's time to find out which driver is up to the task of claiming the Chinese Grand Prix. We're here in Shanghai. The ever-tightening turns 1 and 2 will prove tricky in the slippery conditions here at Shanghai, and anyone that slides wide will lose a lot of time getting back on track. Turn 14 should still be the best place for overtaking, but we'll have to see some improvement in the weather before the drivers can take advantage of that DRS assistance. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday and will start from pole position. And Mr. Monaco completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Hamilton, Max Verstappen and Perez, Ricciardo, Stroll, Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel, Kvyat, Ocon, Alexander Albon and Gasly, Magnussen, Grosjean, Antonio Giovinazzi and Kimi Raikkonen, Russell and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
And it appears that Jeff is back, of course, to his normal self. Here we are, though, on the grid, ready for the Chinese Grand Prix, round 4 of the season. And changeable conditions once again. Now, changeable conditions is what we were able to win this Grand Prix last season with Lando Norris there. So could we see the same today in this Chinese Grand Prix? We need to try and keep the intermediates in good nick at the start, and then hopefully we'll have some good pace and grip towards the end of the Grand Prix. Try and get onto a set of the soft compounded tyres, depending on when, of course, the track does dry up. But yeah, this one, therefore, could be very, very unpredictable today. But we're leading the championship. I'd like to get our second win on the cards this weekend. But yeah, this really is a race of anything could happen here. 14 laps ahead of us around the Shanghai International Circuit. And the 5 red lights are going to be coming on now. Then McLaren front row lockout once more. 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go. Off to a good start, rather surprisingly, as we head down in towards turn 1. Lando Norris just slams the door shut on us, as we might try and look to see if we can carry some momentum towards his outside through the first couple of corners. A little bit of understeer there, but Lando does hold firm at the front of the field as we head down through the second part of the snail section of lap 1. The Merc's still just behind us side by side at the first couple of corners as Bottas trying to defend, obviously, his World Championship from last year. Trying to get a bit closer to Lando as we head in towards Sector 2 here. But yeah, the early stage of this race, very, very much just going to be trying to get used to the grip and seeing what the car is capable. But we've got a good opportunity between us as Hamilton and Bottas now finally form into line astern. Yeah, we've got a good opportunity to try and make a bit of a breakaway at the start of this race. As you can already see, Lando, that is one corner ring, is so much stronger than me at the moment. Nothing we can do in that sort of situation there against Lando Norris. But as we head down in towards Sector 3, back end just kicking out a little bit. But hopefully, yeah, we can try and break away from the Mercedes. Or will their wet pace just be a little bit stronger than ours? Obviously, we'll have to wait and see. This is our first wet race of the season, if I do remember correctly. So yeah, this could be quite a learning curve for us. But Lando leads ahead of myself, Bottas, Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Coming towards the end of lap 2 as we head out onto the back straight. Lando still getting a little bit fishtailing in a couple of places here, but we're really just trying to romp away from the Mercedes at the start of this Grand Prix. We do have a slight car advantage in terms of just raw performance in this early stage of the season, as we get very, very close to the back of our teammate through the hairpin there. We've definitely got a lot of bravery on the brakes. But yeah, Mercedes already up to 2.5 seconds behind us, as Bottas clearly struggling. Clearly not as much as I am through there, running very, very wide through the final corner of the lap. Lando even. New fast lap of the Grand Prix. We go a couple of tenths slower, but we are sticking with our teammate early on. And the team there as well just confirming. Lando, new fast lap of the race once more. Can we stick with him and maybe try and make an error out of him? Force an error? Or do we just want to work together still? Very, very early doors in the season there. As again, we get a lot of fishtailing out of the first sector. Oh, Giovinazzi out of the Grand Prix, and we've got a safety car. All of a sudden, at the end of lap 3 here, no point diving it in to the pit lane. But yeah, that also came out of nothing. I was too busy trying to look, see if we can make a move work on Lando there. But safety car has been deployed in this Chinese Grand Prix, and that is just going to bring the dry weather closer and closer to us. So coming towards the end of lap 5 then, safety car will be diving into the pits at the end of this one, so we will be ready to go green flag racing. But the track is definitely getting drier and drier. You can see there's no more rain in the air, and just a bit of spray now being kicked up by our teammate Lando Norris at the front of the field there as we look towards our left. Really going to try and make something work off this restart here. He has left it rather early, actually giving the safety car a lot of ground as we head down in towards the final corners of the lap. So now it's, yeah, just a case of seeing when Lando Norris is going to go on this restart. Very, very slow. God, we've accidentally ended up ahead of him. Not too sure how he managed that, but in towards the final corner. Lando Norris does now go again as we've got very, very cold rubber there. Caught napping a bit through the final turn. There's just no front end grip, and Lando has absolutely perfected the restart there. Already well over a second clear as we head down in towards the first corner of lap 6. Can we try and build up some temps? Bottas trying to look up the inside. So yeah, really, really struggling at the moment. The hand of rage comes up as Bottas does make a tiny bit of contact with us. Got to give him the room on the inside, but he's still there as we head through turn 3. But we have held on for now as Lando almost 1.5 seconds up the road already off that start there. So a very, very good start from our teammate as we head down in towards the hairpin. That's not going to help us either. Just dropping it on the traction zone there, and you can see that's just sent us into a bit of a half spin, and we're going to plummet down the order all the way down to 10th, it might be 11th place there, as Danny Kvyat tried to ascend up the inside, but a catastrophic error made by myself as we head through Sector 2. They're just getting a little bit overconfident on the power. They're just trying to get a bit of traction out of the corner there to give us a run up the hill, and unfortunately we have paid the price there. Such an easy mistake to make, and unfortunately, yeah, it's put us right back down in the midfield here as we head down through at the end of Sector 2. Can we try and get a bit of a cutback on Sebastian Vettel here? Obviously Ferrari don't have a particularly great car in a straight line. Are we going to be able to do anything on Sebastian Vettel? Getting a little bit squirrely as we head out onto the back straightaway. But yeah, that Ferrari got nothing down the straight. It's very much just sitting up there straight past Sebastian Vettel as we head down in towards the hairpin here. We'll have a look. Oh my, Charles Leclerc completely came across us there in towards the corner. Not too sure what that was all about from Charles Leclerc. And I'm tempted we're going to have to pit now. We're going to have to go on to dries at the end of this lap because we cannot afford to pit again here. But what was that from Charles Leclerc in towards the final hairpin of the lap there? Just completely came across us. I wasn't trying to go for a send. I just didn't want to run into the back of him. But he has completely forced that error. And surely that has got to be a penalty for Charles Leclerc. I think he's had some damage from that as well. What tyres is he going to go on to? We're going to have to go on to softs to try and get to the end of this Grand Prix. We just can't afford to have to pit again later on. Charles Leclerc stayed out on inters. 8.7 second stop. And this has really gone from looking like a brilliant race to completely undone. Inside one lap here off the safety car restart. What is the grip going to be like as we head back out of the pit lane? Not good, I'll be honest, as we head through turn 1. But you can see, not much water on the track, so hopefully the track will continue to dry out as everyone else is still on their inters, and we can try and lose as little time as possible. As yeah, this isn't working at the moment though, as we head out the first couple of corners. Tiptoeing our way through Sector 2, you can see the gap is still just opening up so rapidly to Charles Leclerc in front of us, but we've had to come in early onto these tyres. Hopefully the AI will be in rather soon as well there, as Lando has opted to stay out for another lap in this Grand Prix. Now they do seem to be starting to grip up a bit more, but still losing a lot of time at the moment. As you can just see there, nothing we can do on throttle. Coming towards the end of lap 8. Now I think we're starting to reach the crossover point in this Grand Prix. None of the top runners still in, and we are definitely still struggling at the moment, but we haven't lost as much time to Charles Leclerc on this lap there as we get a decent run out onto the back straight. We've still obviously got some good top end pokes, so in a couple of places we're still gaining a bit of time back, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be long before we head, well, before everyone else heads out onto dries. I've just got to hope that somehow we can still score points in this race. We got yellow flags out in Sector 2. That's the TT struggling in this Grand Prix, but yeah, now we are starting to get up to temperature with these dry tyres there. They're definitely now starting to work a whole lot better. DRS has been enabled as well. So that is a perfect sign for us. It's actually Kimi Räikkönen out of the Grand Prix, and that does not help us one bit. Because that now means that everyone else can dive into the pits. No, they don't. Lando stays out another lap here, as well as Valtteri Bottas, I'm going to guess, in P2. So we almost get a penalty for speeding under safety car there, but a load of other people behind are going to dive it in. So the top two in this race have opted to stay out here for whatever reason, but everyone else behind them is going to get a big advantage there, as both Alfa Romeos out of this Grand Prix. And just having a look at the mini-map as we come towards the end of lap 9. VSC is going to be ending in just a moment. Make sure obviously we keep it in the green. But you can see just how much time it's allowed everyone else to gain up the road there. DRS has now been enabled, and we are only going to come out, what, P17. We're only going to get ahead of Charles Leclerc in this Grand Prix there as we head out down the pit lane. So this has been one disaster after another here in the Chinese Grand Prix. I think we're going to need an absolute miracle if we want to get anything more than maybe sort of P15 past the Williams. There we go, Lando and Bottas, as well as a smattering of the midfield, are now into the pits at the end of lap 10, as we try and close up the gap to Latifi as we head out of the hairpin. Hopefully, yeah, there's still a couple more places to be had in this Grand Prix. I'd love still to be able to score some points here, but I think it's going to be a very tall order as we are making massive gains on the Williams as we head down the back straightaway. Are we going to be able to get past Latifi? Again, another car moves around very erratically in towards the hairpin. Surely the FIA have got to do something about that. But we do get around the Williams, and we're now up into P16. But again, looking at the pit lane, everyone already out comfortably ahead. So it's one of the Mercedes now that leads the way. I'm guessing it's Hamilton out in front there as we set a new fast lap of the Grand Prix. Max Verstappen, I'm going to assume, in P2, ahead of Sergio Perez, and I think Danny Rick, as Lando, has been relegated all the way down to P5 here. Heading towards the end of lap 12, already these soft tyres unfortunately starting to feel like they're going off just a little bit. We hopefully can still try and get P14 from this Grand Prix, as we almost run a bit wide out of the final corner, trading fast slaps with the other guys. But this time round, Lando actually snags the fastest lap bonus point away from me as well. So things are really not looking good. We're not even going to be able to try and take that 1 point away from them both. As Magnussen and Russell, just a couple of seconds up the road. Hopefully we can get past these guys, but let's be fair, it's not really going to make much difference. Now on towards the back straight of the penultimate lap here in Shanghai. And hopefully now we can try and get past at least Kevin Magnussen in this Grand Prix. Obviously we've got so much extra speed from these two in front of us there. As you can see, Verstappen now on a 33.6 even in this Grand Prix. Are we going to be able to go any quicker? George Russell goes defensive on Magnussen, and I almost run into the back of him. And if this race just couldn't get any worse, completely bottled that attempt. Luckily we didn't lose the front wing this time round there, but that was, you know, almost a massive shunt through the final corner. That's going to ruin any chance of another fastest lap as well there. As 34.5 is not going to help us out one bit in this race, but it looks like as we head on towards this final lap, Hamilton might just become the fourth winner in 4 different races here, unless Verstappen can make anything work on the final lap of this Grand Prix. He's been tremendous in recent races we've done on the channel across all of our series in recent weeks. Is he going to be able to get a win here in the McLaren RTG? Can we get past George Russell? This is the battle everyone's been waiting for in this series. It seems honestly a little bit weird to see George Russell back in a Williams based on my team and everything like that, but I think Hamilton is going to be clear as we head in towards the final few corners of this Grand Prix, and is going to become our 4th different winner of the season. Can Lando get the move on Daniel Ricciardo completed? I think he's looking like he's going to be able to make that work as well as we head in towards the final sector of this Grand Prix. Hamilton has just about done enough, and he will become the 2nd Mercedes race winner in a row there. 2 for McLaren, 2 for Mercedes early on this season. This battle is very much going to go down the wire there as we go past George Russell down the back straight. Very much a move that we needed to make, but not going to be worth a lot. Bottas sneaks away fast lap. Ocon takes fastest lap out of nowhere as well there for a bonus point for Renault, but through the final couple of quarters we go. Truly a day to forget. Danny Kvyat, new fastest lap as well. Where are these all coming from? But for us, P15 at the end of the day. I don't want to speak.
Alright, sprint race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
So, another fantastic victory for the Silver Arrows. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Without a doubt, the safety car changed everything today. The key to their success was keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
It's an interesting one today. On balance, I think I have to call out Alexander Albon. A really solid drive from him today, and one that he and his team should be proud of.
Let's move on to the constructors. Mercedes moved to the top of the table. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend from them as they fight their way towards the top. Well, that was certainly an incredible weekend of racing. Be sure to join myself and Ant for more exciting Formula One action soon.
Well, there we are then, guys, the end of the Chinese Grand Prix, and I think if I speak, I'm in big trouble. I don't speak after that Grand Prix there. What a disappointment for McLaren. First and second on the grid to 4th and 15th at the end of the day there. But yeah, I think Charles Leclerc has got a death wish on his hand at this early stage of the season there. But Hamilton, like I said, makes it 4 from 4 at the end of the Chinese Grand Prix. There are 4th different winner in 4 races there. Max Verstappen, a 10th of a second at the flag there was all he missed out by. But Lando Norris, 0.003 of a second behind Sergio Perez for the final place on the podium there. I'm sure the Mexican very, very happy to once again score another podium finish there. Danny Rick in 5th ahead of Vettel, Bottas, Albon, Ocon and Pierre Gasly rounding out the top 10 there ahead of Lance Stroll. And then Danny Kvyat with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix by what? 0.6 of a second, half a second over Esteban Ocon. I got no idea where that lap came from for Danny Kvyat at the end of the day there. But both the Haas cars finishing ahead of myself, Russell, Charles Leclerc, and then Nicholas Latifi there. Charles Leclerc actually made the 2-stop strategy in that Grand Prix there and only finished 10 seconds behind me in the end of the day there and still ahead of Latifi there. Both Alphas not making it to the end of the Grand Prix. I'm sure they're very confused and disappointed by that. But the gap on the top, holy moly, that has come down. 8 points now separate the top 4 there as we've got 2 points over Bottas, 3 points over Lewis Hamilton as well there, and 8 points over our teammate Lando Norris. So things, yeah, have certainly got very, very spicy once again there. Sergio Perez holds on to 5th place overall at the moment ahead of Max Verstappen there. Charles Leclerc gets relegated down to 7th. They're tied with Daniel Ricciardo there. Sebastian Vettel 2 points ahead of Esteban Ocon there, and Alex Albon still outside the top 10 at this stage of the World Championship. There are no other movers though after that Grand Prix. Lance Stroll still on no points behind Romain Grosjean. How disappointing the start of the season has been for him there. But constructors-wise though, Mercedes now at the top by just 3 points over ourselves there. That battle is certainly going to rage on throughout the entirety of this season. Red Bull up to P3 ahead of Ferrari and Renault there as Racing Point drop all the way down to 6th place there in what is looking like a very, very tight battle in the best of the midfield cars there. But AlphaTauri and Haas still on the board. Alfa Romeo and Williams still yet to score as well. But thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, do make sure you leave a like and get yourself subscribed. And yeah, we will be back very, very soon for round 5 of the season where we head to Zandvoort. You guys do not want to miss it. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.